welcome back to the Google Workspace Update podcast from Strawberry 7. My name is Adam.
And my name is Adam.
We're here every week to bring you the latest updates happening in the world of Google Workspace. This podcast is available from wherever you cast your pods in audio format and also in video format on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Strawberry7.
Coming up on the show today,
we've got 5 updates for you today, so fairly short show, but they are a little bit chunky, some of them. We've got updates to Google Slides, Google Classroom, Google Meet, Google Chat and Google Drive. So nice to see some variety this time rather than just 8 Meet updates like we had last week or whatever it was. As always, there is a link in the podcast or video description to the document that we read from. This document contains some more detailed information, relevant links, some lovely pictures and even some moving graphics showing you these features in action. So let's get to it.
on with the show. Right, so first update we have for everybody. There's no update alerts this week. It's all just real chunky updates. First update, so you can now add GIFs and stickers in Google Slides. So Google is bringing GIFs and stickers directly into Google Slides. GIFs and stickers empower you to build visual, dynamic and creative presentations that help you connect with your audience in Slides.
Well, that's certainly Google's opinion about this update. I'm not too sure that I share that opinion, and I don't know what you think, Adam. Well, I'll hand it over to... What do you think of this update, Adam?
Well, I do like GIFs and stickers. I think they're great. I do think that, however, in a
company presentation,
one thing they do not do is look professional.
Yes.
So if you're presenting your presentation of whatever that may be, if you then just have a fun little sticker or a GIF, as hilarious as I'm sure it would be and relevant to make your point, I don't think it does look very professional, really. Like it's great within Google Chat or somewhere like that if you're responding to something, especially if something's funny. Then I love responding with GIFs and memes. To be honest, I find they get my point across far better than words ever do. But I've never used one in a slide. Well, actually, to be fair, I've never had the option to before because the update has only just come out. However, I would not really be the first one in line to use these. But how do you feel about this update, Adam?
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. And what I find hilarious is that in the moving graphic that Google's put in here, they've used such a corporate slide that they've put this like hand clap sticker into.
Slow
One of the
clap.
options of which is one of the options of which is Pikachu, like going absolutely crazy clapping, which I know you would like, Adam, because I know you're into Pokemon. Hey, I called it the right thing this time. I echo what you say, like stickers and GIFs and things like that are fine, and when they introduce them in chat, okay, cool, that's fine. If you're talking to your work colleagues or whatever, they can be quite nice to drop into a chat. It doesn't all have to be business. But in a presentation, I was just a bit, I originally thought when I saw this that this was something to do with comments or something in slides, but no, it's actually dropping into your slide itself. I just think they've chosen a very odd sort of presentation to demonstrate this on when it looks very, very
if they did add them to comments, which not actually sure, maybe GIFs would be available in comments, but to me that seems really passive aggressive to be honest. If you're commenting on someone's slideshow, say, oh, how about we move this to the next slide or something, and then just have a nice slow clap to go along with it. I'm not sure it really gives the professional response.
I think that specific example is quite passive aggressive. Yeah, I think it could be relevant in certain situations in sort of comments, and I think just touching on that, in comments you could probably use emojis because we've seen that before through one of the updates. Like I say, I just think that this is, I guess the option is there. I just can't imagine many people using this.
However, to be fair though, we are thinking of this from a corporate perspective and business. What about in somewhere like Google Classroom or from a different environment, someone else using
Why not put
slides?
that example in then, Adam? Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's
Yes.
what I mean. Why have they used such a corporate example to show off this feature if it's not really going to be used in that setting? I tell you what I'm thinking of when I see this GIF going into this particular slideshow that they've used. It really reminds me of when people used to use clip art. And they started using it, like when clip art first started getting used, it was okay. But my God, did it date quickly. And it was a real example of somebody who kind of, if they stuck a clip art into a presentation or something like that, it would look really naff, you know? After, the mid-2000s, I guess, or something like that, or probably early 2000s. And that is the same thing that I'm seeing here, is like this GIF, I think, it's going in, it just, I think, looks a bit naff, to be honest, because it's just not really a corporate setting.
It does not improve the slide that is already there.
No, 100% not. 100% not. My God, does it not improve the slide that's there? Maybe I'm being too critical. Maybe Google didn't think much about it when they picked this slide for the moving graphic.
All of our listeners, they can come and have a look at the documents that you'll find attached to this podcast. Come and view the given example from Google yourselves, and let us know, what do you think?
Absolutely, yeah. I'd love to hear what people think. See if they share our cynicism of this update. Like I say, it's there. You know, people can use it if they want, I suppose. So anyway, let's move on. What's the getting started rollout and availability here, please, Adam?
Okay, so to get started with this lovely update, for the admins, there is no admin control for this feature, but for the end users, to add a GIF to your slides, create a new presentation or open an existing presentation, go to Insert, Image, select GIFs or stickers, search for GIFs and or stickers, then click on one or several, you can add multiple, and then insert them into your slides. And if anybody is desperate to learn more about inserting or deleting images and videos, then you can visit Google's Help Center, and I've added a lovely link into our document for that. Rollout and availability, so there's a gradual rollout, so potentially up to 15 days to roll out this fabulous feature, which started on November the 6th. Scheduled release, there's also a gradual rollout, which is starting on November the 28th, and this update is going to be available to all Google Workspace customers, as well as users with a personal Google account.
Oh, great. Thank you, Adam. Well, thank God we're on rapid release, because we might be able to see it really, really soon. So thank goodness. Okay, I think the next update is going to be much more exciting. So what have we got next, please, Adam?
Yes, far on the other side of the Google Office, we have a update to Google Classroom. So you can now make more informed decisions using Classroom Analytics. And I think this is potentially a very, very useful tool. So Google is introducing analytics in Google Classroom, providing a centralized view of classroom data and insights for educators and education leaders. So designated education leaders and support staff now have direct visibility into student performance and engagement in the classroom, including if assignments are being completed, how grades are trending, and how classroom features are being adopted. Education leaders will see a bird's eye view of insights with the ability to easily drill down further to identify which students, classes, and schools may need support. Educators will also be able to see the same type of data for the classes they teach, providing them with a centralized snapshot of how each student in their class is trending. For example, if an educator sees that a student has low assignment completion this month, they can drill down to the list of missing assignments and follow up to see how best to support that particular student. This feature provides relevant insights that are immediately actionable, so education leaders and educators can make informed decisions around how best to support student success. Great.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, what a fantastic update. Such a more useful update than the last one. This is really, really great. And I'd encourage anybody who is affected by this, whether you're supporting education clients or whether you are an education client yourself, please check out the document, because there's some really nice moving graphics in here that Adam has added, showing you how this looks and how you can interact with it and how you can use it. I think this is really, really nice. We know, Adam, schools love data, insights, especially SLT. I mean, that's their bread and butter, right? Is like looking at the student performance, looking at where the students need help.
Give me a chart, give me a percentage. I want to see data that looks nice and visual and easy to digest. And to be honest, this kind of ticks all those boxes.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. This is really, really nice insight. Really lovely to see. We've seen some sort of pupil assessment tools ourselves, Adam, and used some different ones. Some are good, some are not so good. And this is really, really lovely that Google have put this in. Now, I don't think by any stretch of the imagination this is going to allow schools to throw out their assessment tools or anything like that. It's not going that far. But what I like about this is Google haven't tried to do that. They haven't tried to go crazy of like replicating all of that student assessment. What instead they've done is done something that's very, very useful for Google Classroom and very, very tailored towards that. So what do you think about it, Adam?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm thinking that the assessment tools that are already in place, almost Google Classroom probably doesn't come into that equation probably at all, really. They're using Google Classroom totally separately, and they're using completely different schemes and pieces of work to assess their students in a totally separate way, but they're also using Google Classroom. So will give everybody a very clear understanding of the analytics and appropriate data that is going on within Google Classroom. So the more you're using Google Classroom, the more data that this analytics will give you. So even if you're only using Google Classroom to assign your homework, you're still doing all your regular assessment style work within class during lesson time, but for homework you're using lots of Google Classroom. This will give you a great way just to see, well, who's actually completing their homework. Instead of asking the class whether they did it or not, then you can use this analytics tool to see how everybody is getting on with that. So does not interfere in any way with the current assessment tools that are in place already. This is very much only looking at Google Classroom, but I really like this. I think it's great. It's going to be very, very helpful.
Yeah, I really, really think so, especially with those interventions, and the example that they've given here, I feel bad for this student, Stephen Suits, who they've picked on here, who's only got 12% completion on his assignments, but it's so useful to see this in such a clear way of this example they've given here, where it's like, here's this assignment and it's missing, here's this assignment and it's missing, here's this quiz and he's got 5 out of 10. That's just such an easy way to see that data, because
it gives you all the quick questions that you're going to have. It gives you all that information. So you want to know, have they completed their work? Basically yes or no. Here's how many pieces they have handed in, here's how much they've not handed in, here's percentages, here's their average grades, things like that. Then it kind of gives you all the answers, all the information and all the data that you're going to need quickly. You can set that by the different time period. So whether that's, say, if we are using homework as an example, how much homework have they completed this month, or then maybe look, how much have they done this term, maybe this year. You can manipulate the data to fill your needs, and I wonder if we will see this evolve a little bit over time. But obviously we're not actually teachers ourselves, but at first glance, looking at the data and the information it does give you, it looks like it ticks quite a lot of boxes for the information that you're going to want to see.
Yeah, if I was a teacher, I would really, really like all of these features.
And it's something as simple, sorry to interrupt, as simple as when there's a piece of work missing, that's in red. So you can clearly see that, whereas everything else is not in red. So it's instantly grabbing your attention. This piece is missing.
Yeah, I think everything that you said is very, very good points, and really useful for the listeners as well is what you said about the date ranges, because I'd missed that myself, even in the moving graphic there. But you're absolutely right, Adam. You can say last 30 days, probably last 7 days, I imagine, last month. So that is very, very helpful as well. So thank you for pointing that point out, Adam, because that's really useful for the listeners to hear. Okay, lovely. What's the getting started for this then, Adam?
Okay, so super admins automatically have access to Classroom Analytics and must enable Classroom Analytics for designated education leaders to access data on the entire organisation or limited to specific OUs. Educators will automatically be able to see class-level analytics for their classes. So that could be particularly helpful for, say, SLT or senior management, especially if they're teaching within a teaching position themselves, because they'll already be able to access their own class, but you can give them access to other classes as well. For the end users to get started, education leaders and support staff, if enabled by your admin, you can access Classroom Analytics directly from the Classroom homepage, and of course course, you can visit Google's Help Center to learn more about the analytics dashboard for education leaders and support staff. I imagine that will be very helpful and very useful just to get a bit more of an insight to everything that you'll be able to do with this. For the teachers, though, you can automatically access class analytics from your class page header or on a class card in the class homepage. And again, you can visit Google's Help Center if you'd like to learn more about class analytics for educators. Links in the document.
Thank you very much, Adam. What's the rollout pace and availability here? I've just seen the availability, so everybody's going to want to listen up to that.
Okay, so rollout, rapid release and scheduled release. There's a gradual rollout for this update, so potentially up to 15 days for feature visibility, and that started on November the 7th. The availability, though, so a Google Workspace for Education Plus license is required to access this feature for both education leaders and educators. So it looks like you're going to need that Education Plus license for both sides, so that basically the teacher and the student, basically. And of course, if you'd like to learn more about assigning licenses, you can visit Google's Help Center, and I've added a link within our document for that as well.
Okay, no problem. Just to clarify that availability, Adam, I think what it's saying there is it says the education leaders and educators.
Google... sorry, I misread that.
Yeah, no, it's fine, so for clarity for anybody who's not, it's a good point to bring up, for clarity for anybody who's not familiar with Education Plus licensing, it's kind of works on how many students you've got, and then you get some educator licenses as a result of how many you're buying for these students. So I think that's why they've pointed out that education leaders are going to need it as well, obviously, if they want to go into this analysation tool. But again, as we said before, but if you're new to the show, if you're listening and you're an admin or you're an MSP who's taking care of education clients, this is another golden feature that you can put forward to your schools and say, hey, look, if you've got an Education Plus subscription, you can get access to all of these analytical tools as well. So Google are doing a great job adding more and more into that higher tier.
Yes, the other thing that I did quickly want to add, we were almost focusing more on the negative side that this analytic tool may give you to see who is not completing their homework or who needs the extra support. I'm sure on the flip side of that, it can show you how great your classes are doing and how well everybody is doing overall. So I think it's a great overview of everything. So it will show you both sides of the table. So it will highlight anybody that does need that extra support, which can be very, very helpful as well. But equally, it can be a great way to highlight those that are doing well and successful as well.
Yeah, very, very good point, Adam. Thank you for pointing that out for everybody. Lovely. What have we got next, please?
Up next, Google Meet API is now available in Developer Preview. So launching through the Google Workspace Developer Preview program, developers can now use the Google Meet API. Using this API, developers can programmatically create and configure Meet calls, retrieve information about past meetings, such as the meeting times and attendees, access meeting artifacts such as transcripts and video recordings, and subscribe to real-time updates on meetings such as when a participant joins or leaves. Their API will give partners and customers the ability to create and configure Meet video conferences, allow their end users to join a conference, and post real-time updates from within their own applications. Incorporating your products with the Google Meet API streamlines workflows and provides your product with Meet information that easily enhances your product offering. For example, partners such as HubSpot, Outreach, SalesLoft, and Salesforce currently integrate the Google Meet API to pull meeting recordings and artifacts into their conversational intelligence tools for analysis and sales coaching. Additionally, integrating with the Google Meet API enables you to link your app with Google Meet's video conferencing capabilities, allowing users to access a secure video conferencing product from their own user interface by the click of a button. BandLive, which is a leading webinar and event platform, use the Google Meet API in a way to create and configure video sessions for larger sessions and smaller breakout conversations.
This is a really, really nice update. So very much one for the developers out there who are developing these platforms and working on these different things. But having this API to be able to integrate, and there's a really nice graphic here showing it integrated into one of these apps. And it's just great. It's fantastic. I mean, I've used Pipedrive before as a kind of customer record management system and project management system. And that integrates with Google, not to this level, but even just having the basic integration of being able to go into a customer record and book a meeting directly within Pipedrive, and then it kind of goes across to your Google Calendar. I was actually talking to a client about that earlier today, actually. And I think that that is a really powerful tool for how this all sort of joins up. And seeing what you can do with this API potentially as a developer is really, really powerful. Being able to pull in the video meets and the recordings and schedule a meeting and everything. Really, really cool.
So am I right in thinking that this is a bit like a Google Meet plugin that you can put into your own platform?
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
And then you get the analytics to go with it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you could do, you could do all sorts of things. Like you could have kind of like the example that I've given there. So they've integrated it in Salesforce in such a way where you're having the meeting sort of through Salesforce, and then it's pulling in, I imagine, probably the captions and things like that, and then it's pulling out data and saying, oh, this was where the deal was closed, for example, and then using that for training and stuff like that, or maybe the part of the recording that was relevant. So that's quite a specific example, but it's the fact that once you've got it all within that single, there's so many advantages here, right? One, you've got it within one user interface. So people are in Salesforce, for example, and they're not really having to leave Salesforce. They're kind of doing it all within Salesforce, within a tool that they're working with all day, every day. So that's a huge tick. Then you've got everything. You're not just scheduling your meeting there, but you're having your meeting there. That's another big tick. And then on top of that, it's pulling in all of that stuff from the meeting. So if you go, oh, I met with Chris 2 weeks ago. What was it we said on that meeting about doing this? You can just go back to that in Salesforce and pull up the recording all within Salesforce and watch the recording back.
So a bit like how you can embed a YouTube video into a website, you can embed Google Meet into your website or whatever your platform is. So for that particular example, so you don't have to then just add in a link and go off to YouTube to go watch that video or whatever. Then you can do it all directly from the same page that you're already on. It's similar to that, but all within Google Meet.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so it's Google Meet, but it's all within your whatever platform you're working in, right? Like Salesforce or whatever. So,
and I think one of the biggest nuggets about this, I'm sure there's several nuggets to this particular update, but the one for me is that you would not have to leave the current page that you're already on. You can do it all from the single pane, because I don't know about you, that's probably one of the things that puts me off various things. If I'm navigating a web page or if I'm doing something, I can't actually think of an example, but I'm sure there is one. If I was doing something, it's like, oh, now if you want to continue, now go off to this platform, do something else. Oh, by the way, you have to log in, you have to sign up, you have to go do something else. I was like, no, I just kind of wanted to just quickly do my thing right here, actually. And so, I like this update. I think this can be potentially very handy for some users out there.
Yeah, and definitely, no doubt, this is for the developers, this is for people who are making those bigger tools. But, if you're listening and you're not a developer, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's of no interest to you, because maybe you use a tool that you would love to see Google Meet introduced to. Drop that company an email. Maybe they don't know that this exists. Maybe they don't know that they can integrate Google Meet into their system. So if you're using Monday.com, I think is one that I've sort of seen around. Maybe Monday.com integrate it already, but that would be an example of, if you're using that and you think, oh, I'd love to have Google Meet integrated into that, or even Pipedrive that I cited earlier. Pipedrive allows you to schedule a Google Meet through Pipedrive, so you don't have to leave Pipedrive to set up your meeting and all the rest of it, but you can't have your meeting within Pipedrive. So again, that would be something that they might want to look to integrate. So yeah, this is really, really cool. Really like this. All of these API things, I love to see the ability to plug these things in, these great tools, into other good tools. So that's really nice to see. And what's it getting started? Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, and if anybody would like some additional details about this particular update, then I've added a link into our document to do with the Google Meet API documentation.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, because I think for anybody who's interested in integrating this, they're definitely going to want to check that out. And if you do want to contact one of your providers to let them know about this, you can link them to that link there. So that's really, really handy. Thank you, Adam. What's the getting started availability and, rollout pace and availability here?
Okay, so getting started for the admins, there is actually no admin control for this particular feature, but you can visit Google's Help Center if you'd like to learn more about what requirements you need to use Google Meet. Link in the document for that. But for the developers out there, to use the Google Meet API, developers can apply for access through Google's developer preview program, and I've added a link in our document for that as well. Rollout, this feature is available right now through the Google Workspace developer preview program and is available to all Google Workspace customers that have signed up to the developer preview program.
Yes, exactly, yeah. And have Meet, have Meet enabled. Very nice. Thank you, Adam. What have we got next, please?
Up next, Google Chat. So streamlining the user experience in Google Chat to help you find what you need much faster. So Google recently introduced numerous enhancements across Google Chat, and they're super excited to announce the general availability of 3 features highlighting a new integrated experience. The redesigned navigation panel brings direct messages and spaces together and introduces shortcuts, which is a new framework to help you stay on top of your messages. To reduce friction while navigating between messages, Home helps you quickly catch up on any new activity across all conversations in a single location. Additionally, you can narrow down your view by filtering for unread messages. Mentions gives you visibility into their messages addressed specifically to you within this single destination for important actionable messages that you can see and navigate to the messages that have specifically mentioned you. In addition to those improvements to the user experience, Google is also updating the icon for Google Chat over the coming weeks. The new icon has a cohesive look with other popular workspace products that reflects the central role of business messaging and collaboration within Google Workspace. These features are designed to help you stay on top of the busy flow of communication and make it easier to prioritize and find the conversations that are most important to you.
They were doing so well until they got to the icon bit.
Because I think we've discussed this before. I think maybe it was on a coming soon to an update near you a handful of updates ago, but it looks like that they have now progressed this a bit further.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this a little bit. So, first of all, for anybody who's listening and not too sure about this, definitely check out the document. The graphics here show how this is all laid out.
The visual definitely almost explains everything that I just said without the need of words, really.
Yeah,
it's quite clear just by looking at the picture, really.
Yeah, but for anybody who hasn't got access to the document, basically what you've got is in chat, on the left-hand side, you've now got a little shortcuts part, and it says Home, Mentions, and those are separate sections that you can go into. As Adam explained, you go into Home, it kind of shows you everything that's happened since you last went in. You go into Mentions, it shows you all of the messages that you've been mentioned in. This is really, really nice.
It kind of gives it a bit more of a social media vibe, really.
I completely agree with you. It's kind of like going into a notifications area, isn't it? In Facebook or something like that. Yeah, it's a good analogy, actually, Adam. So I really like this. We both like any of these quality of life improvement updates that they make to these products and just make it a little bit easier to navigate your way around. So this is very, very nice. Is it just me, Adam? That mention part where it's highlighted the mentions in blue, did it do that before? Does it do... I don't think it does that at the moment, does
within chat, I think it does. But I think when it's an unread message, then I think it is highlighted. And then I think when you kind of see the message, then it's no longer highlighted, he says.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, that would make sense if that's the case. I mean, you can actually see them in different colours here as well. So maybe one is in a direct message and the other one's in a space or something like that. But, all of that is great. I really, really like the updates that they've done there. The icon... Right, so first of all, I completely understand why Google Chat have redone their icon, because Google redid all of their icons not all that long ago. And I remember when Google announced this, and the the comments in the YouTube video, I looked at it and I thought, yeah, I completely agree. Somebody summed it up once and they said, wow, great work, Google. Really good way to make all of your products clear by making all the icons exactly the same. And I thought, yeah, I completely echo that. I get what Google were trying to do, but this is an example of where a big corporate like Google, unfortunately, has just... Sometimes they get so closeted in their own little world, they forget that other people are not... They don't work at Google, and they actually deal with loads of different things, loads of different products, and loads of different stuff. And what they've done is, I can tell you exactly what they've done. They've been in some board meeting and they've put these icons up massive on some huge screen or huge graphic or something like that. And they've gone, here's our new icon set. And everybody's looked at it and gone, ooh, it's got all the Google colours on it. It looks really cool. It's all cohesive and it like all works together. The problem is when that icon is like the size of a P on a screen and they're all the same colours, they're all Google colours in the same way, and there's just the minutest difference in shape between all of them, you can't see that, and they all just look the same.
Minute difference, Adam. They're completely different. If you compare this icon to the Google Meet icon, there is a 45-degree angle on the left-hand side on Google Meet, and now it's on the right-hand side for Google Chat. They couldn't be further apart.
They couldn't be further apart. You're quite right, Adam. It's me.
Whereas now you're saying that they probably did stick them in a massive presentation back at Google HQ. Well, now they can stick them all into a Google slide and have the slow clap GIF sticker to go next to them all.
The passive-aggressive slow clap. That's the one we put in, right? You know, it's a natural progression. This is what Google's done. They've rebranded all their icons. It's obvious that they're going to make the Google Chat one to match the others. It's just, I just didn't like it in the first place of when they changed all
It is a very good point, though, because standalone by itself, it looks great. It looks lovely by itself, but you make an excellent point. As soon as you stick them next to the other icons, then they all look the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And you only need to go on to... There's a webpage that you can go on. I think it's just an overview of Google Workspace or something. They've got all the products there, and they've just got all the icons next to each other, and you just look at them and you think, what? So it's like all the same products. So whatever. I mean, I don't like the icon rebrand that they did ages ago, but it makes sense that Google have rebranded it to bring it in line with all of the others. And to be fair to Google, to play devil's advocate, I do understand they're in a bit of a predicament, because if they make their icons all look really, really different from each other, the problem with doing that is they all kind of look like they're from different companies. I understand they want to make them all look like they're under the Google umbrella. I just think that they got a little bit too sidetracked in their own world, a little bit too in their own sort of environment of nobody shrunk it down to a tiny little screen and said, do these actually look different enough, or do they just look exactly the same when we shrink them down to a tiny screen?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And yeah, so I gave the example. So the Google Meets one has the little 45-degree angle on the left-hand side. This one now has it on the right-hand side. The calendar has it on the bottom right. So again, so that was completely different.
I don't know what I'm complaining about.
However, actually, so right now on my dock on my computer, I have Google Meet and Google Chat right next to each other. As soon as this update rolls out, then I wonder just how frequently I'm going to be clicking on the wrong one. And especially for anybody that has a slight visual impairment, or to be honest, that doesn't look at their screen that's immediately in front of their face, then you're definitely going to have to now second guess, or basically just pay a bit more attention to which one you're actually clicking on to make sure that you go to the right place.
Yeah, I agree with you. But anyway, I don't want to dwell on the icon too much. The other updates are great. Like the other stuff is fantastic.
We digress.
Yeah, the chat team's been doing brilliantly. The Meet team's been doing brilliantly. Loads of nice updates to those recently.
And I would say this particular update, not including the icon, of course, I think this is particularly great for those that are using Google Chat on... I want to say larger organizations. If you're having lots of chats with lots of people and there's lots of spaces that you're included in, then somewhere like the home screen menu is definitely going to be really, really helpful. Obviously, we're a fairly small company. We're quite close knit, so I don't feel like I'm going to actually need that all that much by itself. So because I don't feel like I struggle to stay on top of everyone that does message me at the moment. However, I can definitely imagine it kind of going back to more of a social media style view on this. If you have, I don't know, maybe you walk into the office and there's 50 messages, or even if there's only 10 or whatnot, just having that home view menu will be a really good way to have a quick glance, a quick overview of everything that's going on. So I can definitely see how it will be really helpful for those that use Google Chat a lot.
Yeah, definitely useful for those bigger organisations like some of the other updates we've seen as well. Thanks, Adam. What's the additional details here as well?
Okay, so the direct messages and space sections will be listed separately but are scrollable and collapsible in one unified list. So the list of messages where you have been mentioned are sorted by recency. So each row represents the message within the thread that mentions you. If you are mentioned multiple times in one particular conversation, each mention will show up as one row. Unread messages are highlighted in light blue and include a blue dot. Clicking on a message in the Home or Mentions view will bring you directly to the conversation or thread where you can respond.
That's great. That's really nice to hear. And thank you for clarifying that part about the blue sort of shade on the app mentions. That's good to hear. What's the getting started rollout pace and availability, please?
Okay, so for the admins, there is no admin control for this feature. For the end users, these features will be on by default. And you can visit Google's Help Center to learn how to use Google Chat, how to get started with Google Chat, and how to mention someone else in a message. Links to all of that in the document. It does say that these features will be on by default, but I wonder if you can actually turn them off. You probably can't. Maybe it's just more of a notifications thing. But they are on by default, which is probably fine for most people. But potentially the option to adjust that. Okay, so rollout pace. So rapid release, there is a gradual rollout for this update, which started on November the 9th. Scheduled release, there is also a gradual rollout, which is starting on December the 4th. So bit of a while to wait for scheduled release for this particular update. And availability, this is going to be available to all Google Workspace customers as well as users with a personal Google account.
That's great. Thank you very much, Adam. That's really good to hear that it's available to everybody there. What's our last update, please?
Our last update is all to do with Google Drive, and again, another very useful update in my opinion. So you can now filter by people or groups within Google Drive. So Google is adding a new filter to Google Drive that lets you see which files or folders have been shared with specific people or groups. Whether you're trying to share a file with more audiences or reduce oversharing, this feature will give you greater visibility into who has access to files within and outside of your organisation.
That's really, really useful. It's really, really nice to see these extra filter options that get added. We've seen this before with those quick kind of filter options for different file types and things like that. So very, very useful to see that there's filtering going on for people and groups here. Anything that helps you find stuff in Google Drive is really, really useful. And you know as well as I do, Adam, that it can be quite tricky to find some of that stuff, can't it?
Yes, definitely. I had several examples just this week, actually, of there were some members of SLT that had files or folders shared with them, and they could only find them through clicking on the link. They kept saying every time that they go off the page, they could never find them again. So, of course, they were within their shared with me, but they said that they had looked in there and couldn't find them because shared with me can very quickly become very populated. So then I did show them how they can very easily add a shortcut into their styled or add a shortcut into their My Drive somewhere so they can access it more easily. So a tool like this where you're able to filter for files and folders that have been shared or been shared with you will be very, very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so useful for a security point of view as well, of looking at how those are being shared out. I wonder if they're going to update this as well, because this is something that I've always wanted in Google Drive, and I think I've mentioned on the podcast before. I wish you could say, show me all of the files in Drive which I've shared to anybody, like anyone with the link. So I wonder if they're going to add that as well, because that would be really, really useful. Funnily enough, I was actually needing to use this feature the other day, and I couldn't really find a very easy way of doing it. So this is lovely. This is a really, really nice update. I think this is going to be super, super useful for people who are sharing out a lot.
I also wonder if potentially in the future, maybe I'm overthinking it slightly. That's not like me at all.
Adam, you overthink.
If they may also add a date filter into it as well. So say, show me everything that I've shared over a month ago or over a year ago or something. So basically, when you're going in and just doing a bit of housekeeping to see what you have or have not shared, to basically see when you shared something. So if it was something that you shared a long, long time ago, well, maybe that doesn't need to be shared anymore, or maybe it's still fine, but it's just a good way to do a quick sanity check on it.
Yeah, completely agree with you. Absolutely. What a really, really nice update. I'm going to use this like straight away, because I'm going to go in and have a look at what we've got shared out, because again, there's just never been a particularly easy way to do that. And I think you're going to go into it with the getting started here, but this seems to only be in my drive, not in shared drives. But I'll let you... Oh, there is a little bit about shared drives.
No, it does include shared drives as well.
Okay, great. I'll let you get down to the get started, and that will give us some... There's quite a lot of getting started here, but I'll let you cover that, Adam.
Okay, but not a lot for the admins. So there is no admin control for this particular feature. The groups that appear in the people filter are based on the target audiences set up at the domain level by the admins. But for the end users out there, to find files shared with a person or group within Google Drive, so drive.google.com, navigate to your My Drive, Shared Drives, Shared with Me, or even Recent. Click on the People filter and then search for a person or group who the files are shared with in the filter. Select Shared With and then View Filtered List of Files. To find files shared outside of your organisation, so again, a very handy option, navigate to My Drive, Shared Drives, Shared with Me or Recent, click on the People filter, but then this time select External Users and then view the filtered list of files. If you would like to find files that you own that are shared with a specific person or group, again, go to My Drive, Shared Drives, Shared with Me or Recent, click on the People filter, but then this time search for yourself and then select Owner. Click on the People filter and then search for a person or group who the files are shared with within the filter, and then simply view the filtered list of files. It sounds like it's going to be quite intuitive, or it should be quite obvious how to use this. So the main thing is that you're looking for the People filter,
yes,
and then from there you'll have a couple of options to select whether it's been shared with somebody, whether it's an external user, or who the owner is, and then from there you should be able to find the information that you need.
Yeah, very, very nice. I was just about to say that it's really nice to see it. They've added a people filter specifically there, so that's really nice. I'm going to definitely be using that straight away. When is this going to be available then? It's quite a long availability for scheduled release, right?
Okay, so rapid release, there is a gradual rollout for this update, so potentially up to 15 days for feature visibility, which started on November the 9th. Scheduled release, though, there's a gradual rollout, which is not starting until December the 5th, so this is another one that you do have to wait a little bit for that update.
Yeah, so I've just had a look on our Google Drive and I can't see it on ours yet. We're on Rapid, but it does say from the 9th.
So it's been one day.
It's been one day.
So we need to allow up to 15 days.
I really want to see it. I really want to try it. But yeah, a little bit longer for scheduled release, but I think this is going to be well worth waiting for, because apart from anything, like, again, if you're an admin listening, I'm sure we've got admins listening on this podcast, this is going to be golden for your security to be able to have a look at those files and folders which are shared out. So really, really nice. What's the availability here, please, Adam?
Okay, so this is going to be available to all Google Workspace customers as well as users with personal Google accounts.
Oh, wow, right. So it's available to everybody. I suppose because it's not kind of an admin reporting
because
tool.
it's more of a Google Drive update. So anybody that has access to Google Drive, which is basically everyone with a Google account.
Yeah, and it's like the search within Google Drive rather than it being some sort of reporting tool. So really nice to see it. It's available to everybody. Yeah, I think this is going to be very, very nice for people.
This is another one of those updates, which I love it when they do this, where it's not only helpful or helps your everyday. It's helpful for the user, but also helpful for when you're doing whether you're the admin or just doing your administrative tasks, or you're just doing a bit of due diligence and just sanity checking everything. So if you're looking for something, it's going to be helpful, or if you're just double checking what you already have in place, it's going to be helpful. So it kind of works from both sides. So love this update.
Yeah, really, really nice. Well, we started off slow, but everything else from then has been
It was a slow Monday at Google, but they did get busier throughout the week.
It get busier as it went on, yeah. Thank you, Adam. As always, that's absolutely fantastic for all those updates. And that's it, everybody. That's everything that you need to know about all of the things happening in the world of Google Workspace. Remember that this podcast is available in audio format from wherever you cast your pods, and also in video format on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/strawberry7. As always, thank you so much for joining us this week.
And we'll be back again next week with more updates.
Goodbye.
Bye.